memorable villains or the rootable villains. And I know you're going to just pull Loki out of your butt, but Loki is hardly even a villain sometimes. He's like, maybe I'll do some good, maybe I won't. He's a demigod. Just leave him be.
Well, I don't know if I would really probably throw Loki out there as the main villain, but I can definitely...
Oh, no, he's not main.
But, yeah, I definitely can agree with the statement that, you know, that when it comes to DC, there are more villains there that are, like, I guess you could say, have the Freddy Krueger effect, where it's like they're supposed to be bad, but you kind of root for them a little bit because they have something about them that really kind of draws them to them. But I guess that could also work to Marvel's advantage, because that just means that they're doing a good job in making the villains hateable, where they're saying, like, I don't really like this guy. I don't like that they're trying to kill off this person, which is what really a story needs. They need to have a hero to root for, and they need to have a villain to basically boo against. It's basic, it's kind of basic story 101. You got to have somebody that is going to really try to do good in the world, and you got to have somebody who's going to do bad in the world. And if people are kind of booing the fact that they hate, the Green Goblin, Venom, Carnage, just trying to think of some other ones. You could even say Loki, Dormammu from Doctor Strange. If they're finding reasons to boo these guys and hate them, then they're doing their job. They're making it so that, you have somebody to root against and think, I'm hoping that this guy, basically gets his ass kicked, which is what it all boils down to. Now, granted, there might be times where they want the villains to get their ass kicked because they're just flat out horrible. Venom from Spider-Man 3. Thank you so much, Topher Grace, for that nightmare. But like I said, as long as it's a good kind of hate where it's just like you're kind of into it and you hate it because it's part of the story, not hate it because you just hate the character development. You hate the person that, plays the villain. Like, of course, when it comes to Suicide Squad, they choose Jared Leto for the role of Joker. And honestly, I was willing to give that guy a chance, but the fact that I think he got too modernized, and the fact that they also had Joker have grills, definitely made me lose faith in that fact. Because yes, he did have that sadistic side, and yes, he had a little bit of that relatable deal where it's like, okay, I can see myself rooting for this guy. But then there just comes a point when it comes to the end of the day, he's still one of those guys who just does not have that it factor where, of course, you look back, Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson, they had something about them that made you kind of hate him, but also kind of at the same time love him. Where with Jared Leto, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I want to like him, but I still hate him. That's the thing.
Yeah. I have to say,
just
I know,
yeah.
I have to say, I always think it's cool though that there's two sides of every story, and I think that's kind of what DC brings out. Is like, I agree that sometimes you want to do the whole like everybody hates that one person and blah blah blah. Like, yay, we're rooting for good, bad sucks. But I think DC kind of just shows you, especially with the Suicide Squad that came out, even though, again, wasn't the most successful movie, still made a ton of money, sadly. It shows you kind of like, hey, like, oh, this is how they got into this. Oh, this guy has a daughter. Oh, this is bad. This is why he does this. And I just think it's like how you were saying, to connect with people. I think that's why people enjoy the villains of DC, is that they do have that in-depth characterization that they give every one of their characters. They like to go in, and that can be annoying for most people who know all the characters. You're like, oh, again, we have to explain everything. But they go in depth to give people that ability to connect with them, and that's why they connect with the villains sometimes, and that's why they sometimes root for them. I don't think it's because they're like, oh, yeah, let's murder everyone in Gotham. I hope it's not. But I think it's more like, oh, I can see their side. I can see why they're like, oh, the Joker's insane, but he was also, under a lot of like distress. His father maimed him, killed his mother, all that jazz. Da da da. Went to an insane asylum that was just breeds evilness, just breeds villains. I think they should shut Arkham down because apparently everybody breaks out and everybody gets worse. So.
I love how you say all that jazz and then you do a little bit of a jazz tune after that. I'm just like, you had me, then you did that. It's like, yeah, you lost me. All that jazz, da da da,
Chicago.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, I guess that's why I thought I enjoy their character in depth, and I think that's why people root sometimes against the superhero is because, I can see their side. I can see what happened to them, and that's awful. And I think that's another reason why people like Deadpool is because, he's not really a superhero. He's kind of just his own monster. He cares basically for himself. He just happens to do some good sometimes during it. But everyone's like, oh, well, we can see his side of the story now. He's insane, yes. And yes, he is. He talks in many places within his head. But including the audience, always breaking the fourth wall. So people are like, oh, we kind of like how crazy he is. Like, oh, this is why. Somebody stole his love. Maybe we all could go insane and psycho one day. So maybe we should not be so harsh on these insane psycho people.
Well, I'll get into another point here that I think that Marvel might be better, and that's because of one name, and that's Stan effing Lee, the man behind everything in Marvel. And geez Louise, I mean, you look at all the cameos that he's made in all his superhero movies, Spider-Man, Iron Man, everything like that. Yes, a lot of people might say, well, it seems kind of selfish that he would put himself in his own movies. You have to remember, a lot of these times, the people want to have him have a lot of credit when it comes down to it. And it's like brief cameos. It's not like he's one of the most pivotal scenes where he's just this guy who makes the major difference. I mean, I think one thing I did like about Spider-Man 3 was the fact that Stan Lee was there, and he has a scene with Peter Parker where he says, you know what, I guess it's true that one man can make a difference. Enough said. Which is very ironic because I think to myself, that's who Stan Lee is. He is that one guy who's making a difference. He's getting away from the stereotypes of just sticking around with just, one hero, two hero, three heroes, four heroes. And he's creating a multi-universe. I mean, for a long time, he actually had a TV show where he was saying, hey, I want to create the next superhero, but I want you guys to kind of, help me with that creation. I think it was, geez Louise, I'm trying to remember what the TV show was. I think it was on Sci-Fi Network, and it was like a competition where all these cosplayers were battling against each other, and the winner was basically guaranteed a superhero comic book series, I believe, as well as a cameo in a superhero movie, which is a great opportunity. I mean, for Stan to go out and just do that definitely shows you the kind of person that he is, but also kind of shows the kind of mind that he has. He's so open-minded when he wants to hear these different ideas. I mean, going from something as genetic as Spider-Man or I'm trying to think of another name. I guess Deadpool or the X-Men, or going to something even just a regular person with just a super suit such as Iron Man. Even something that goes beyond the supernatural as Doctor Strange. He's got this open-mindedness where he's trying to think of different ways to keep people just hooked in. And that's one of the things that I love about Marvel is that Stan Lee is one of those guys who just says, there's a lot of people that really like these series, but let's see if we try going in a different direction. What happens with people like that? And it's brought immense amount of success when it comes down to it. I mean, you look at all of the superhero comics, the movies, the memorabilia, the action figures, everything that Marvel has created is because of Stan Lee's open-mindedness and his creativity. So I think Stan Lee is one of the big, nails on the head when it comes to why Marvel is so much better than so many other, comic book series. It's because of that ingenious mind that he has. I mean, I'm interested to hear your argument, but
No, I mean, I can't really fight Stanley. He's amazing. So there's nothing I can say about Stanley that's negative. I love that that's one of my favorite parts of Marvel movies. When where's the Stanley cameo? It hasn't happened yet. It has to happen. So it's going to be sad when he's not in them anymore. It's going to be a sad part. But no, love the guy. He's turning his C2E2 this year, and I think if you've never met him before, this might be like the last year that he's actually coming to, to comic book conventions. He's getting up there in age that's kind of probably not healthy for him to meet that many people and, shake hands and say hi and take pictures with people. It's probably not healthy for him. So, I don't know, take your chance, go see him, C2E2. I'll probably be there. But yeah, I think my last point is the main people who help out DC is Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers kind of is the parent company of DC Comics, and I guess they're the closest comparison I can have to who Stan Lee is, and besides Disney. Disney is the parent company of y'all. But one thing I have to say DC does a marvelous job at is their animated series are just phenomenal, and their animated movies, like, they don't do it just for kids. They actually have had a bunch of movies that are, kind of rated R, like The Killing Joke that just came out. I know people are kind of mixed feelings about that one. It's, again, focused on the Joker, but it was a pretty graphic cartoon that would not I would not bring your children and watch that movie. But, they've had a bunch of really cool ones that are on Netflix that are focused on the Justice League, and like flashbacks where they focus on the Flash, and they'll focus on Wonder Woman and creating of the Justice League, creating of the Cyborg. And I know they're doing another one that I posted on Facebook. I can't really think of the name right now, but it's like the Dark Magics. So they're going to have Constantine in there, and again, Batman is the key Justice League member. They always have a key Justice League member break off that they're bringing on into something, and Batman is the one who's going in this, but Santana will be in it, and they're really going to do a really cool magic animated film, and I'm really stoked. I kind of see it coming. Maybe it came off of Doctor Strange's magic, but I mean, we've had these characters, or DC's has had these characters for a long time. There's already been a Constantine movie, so I can't say that Doctor Strange came before, because it did not. But yeah, I have to say that Marvel doesn't really focus that much on their animated series or any of their animated movies. I've seen some of them, and some of them are actually anime, and it's kind of weird. I'm like, what the heck? What are they doing here? But I have to say that Warner Brothers kills it. DC Comics kills the animated scene right now. Every movie that I've seen of those, I'm like, I wish this was how they did their real movies. And they just get these voice actors to do this. And I need this director to be directing the real movies, because they actually sing towards the comics. And, a lot of the actors have been doing this for a long time, too. Batman and the Joker voices have been doing it for like 20 years. So you gotta love that. Doesn't matter how old you get, your voice can still be Batman.
I will agree with that. I think that DC does have a bit more of an advantage when it comes to anime, when it comes to battling with Marvel, because I think the Marvel still has a little bit to go in order to kind of battle that. But I think with a lot of the animes, it does feel like it's a little more. It does feel a little